All right, everybody, thanks for joining in. This episode, we're talking about a movie that I saw years and years and years ago, and then had the pleasure of hanging out with the guy who's, well, partially responsible for it shortly after the movie got over with at the theater I was watching it in. But we are talking about... Now, here's the interesting part, because I couldn't find a definitive date on this. So we're talking about either 2009... 2010 or 2013's, and which is even weirder is I saw it in 2012. So we're talking about The Black Waters of Echo's Pond.
Yeah, that's so funny because I was looking up some information on it too because I wanted to see what Sean Clark had to do with the film because I thought maybe he was the director at first, and so I'm digging around and it was like all those different dates. I'm like, is this all like different movies or is this the same movie?
It's just so
and
weird.
Then it's like what's up with that? So yeah, anyhow, it turned out he was like one of like I think two or three screenplay writers.
And a co-producer.
Co-producer too, okay.
Yep.
And what does that mean exactly? Does that just mean that you tossed a few bucks in? Or?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Probably something like that. Probably ran and got somebody coffee or something one day or something.
Because John Carpenter is the executive producer of the new Halloween, right?
Yeah,
but,
I think that's
that
when they pay you to put your name on the movie, I think is what that means.
I gotcha. Yeah, because like with him, it's like he basically just shows up at the set, watches some footage of what they're shooting, and then is like, well, that looks like shit. And then walks away. So,
what's funny is the Flashback Weekend is where I saw this at in 2012. And speaking of John Carpenter, that was the year that he was there.
That was like one of the best ones too. I wish I would have made that one with you.
And I had a VIP ticket for that weekend, and included in the VIP ticket was a chance to. Not a chance. I mean, you were supposed to be guaranteed an autograph by John Carpenter or whatever. And I remember the line was like an hour and a half or 2 hours long. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I really need to do that. I mean, I'm not really somebody that has to see somebody up close like that. I got to see him a couple of different times throughout the weekend, like in Q&As and I think it was the 30th anniversary of The Fog. It was The Thing. I think it was the 30th anniversary of The Thing that weekend. And they did a special showing of that. And he did like a Q&A like before they played it, and he like introduced it and all this stuff. So I saw him a couple of times. And yeah, like in one of the Q&As, he was just kind of like a grumpy ass the whole time. And I've seen multiple interviews of people that are always like, I guess he's that way kind of maybe like as show part of the time, but I was just kind of like, I'm kind of glad I didn't meet the guy because I would have hated to like meet him and whatever I was going to have him sign and just have him be like, oh, this is a piece of shit. And then I would have, why'd you get kicked out of Flashback? Oh, because I told John Carpenter to fuck off.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was like the first one you went to, I think, and it was such a great lineup. Carpenter, I think he had like several of the Jasons, several of the Michael Myers actors, and was PJ Souls at that one by chance?
No, she was not. I don't know if she's ever been at Flashback.
Yeah, I think she stays closer to Chicago, or not Chicago, California, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, because it was kind of a weird one too, because most of the ones that we've been to since then, which I was trying to remember, I think we've been to. Well, this year would have been, I think, the 6th one for us, but of course it got canceled. But
damn, has it been 6? Would it have been 6? Wow,
I think so. Because we had the first one. We didn't we didn't really meet anybody that we had like really cool interactions with. But you got to shake Nick Castle's hand.
I got his autograph, and I also got to get a T-shirt and shake the hands of Dick Warlock.
Yep. And then the following year was when we got to hang out with Amy Steele for quite a bit.
Oh gosh, that was Man, I think that was probably the best still.
And then the following year, I don't think we really hung out with anybody again. And
Wasn't
then,
that the Michael Barrymore? Or
no,
was
that
it
was like, I think that was like 2 years ago.
Oh, was the third one Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street?
No, that one was the same one when we hang out with Michael Berryman.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then, oh, I think, so the year before Michael Berryman was Melanie Kinnaman.
No, Melanie Kinnaman was the same as Amy.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because it was the three. It was the girl from Adrian King, Amy Steele, Melanie Kinnaman.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because they had a bunch of the people from, like, part 5 there, too.
Yeah, there's some more. There was like the girl did the break dancing in part 5 was there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then last year was another one of those kind of years where we didn't really have any, like, really cool interactions with people. I mean, it was still fun, but, it wasn't...
Except for William Ragsdale. Wasn't that last year? Or was that the year before? When we ran into him, we were like walking through the place.
Oh, yeah, and I told him Charlie was a douchebag.
That was pretty cool. We should have gotten a picture with him.
Yeah, we should have. Especially after I called him a douchebag, probably should have went over and like, hey man, here's $20 for an autograph.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, but that year in 2012 was pretty cool because back then, I mean, I've told you this before, so you know this, but it's a little bit different than it is now because the movie theater's still there, but there's where the place is at the Crown Plaza is where the flashback is at. And then there's like this huge parking garage right behind it. And then on the other side of that parking garage is kind of this like, it's almost like a entertainment area really, because there's like a couple of like, there's a bowling alley, there's a couple of restaurants and stuff. And then there was like a movie theater. The movie theater is still there. I don't think it's a movie co anymore. But like when I went, and I think they were doing this for a few years before this, they would show like a bunch of movies at that movie theater, and it was all included with your ticket because like they played this one, Black Waters of Echo's Pond. They played The Thing. They played Danielle Harris's directorial debut, which was like Friends Among Us or something. They played that. There was a Exorcist showing, I think, was that year too, because Linda Blair was there. And
that's right.
I mean, there was a whole bunch of them. Full Moon was doing like Full Moon had like their own screen that they were showing stuff on, so there was a whole bunch of like Full Moon stuff that was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was like a Charles Band. There was a little short movie that Charles Band directed that Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton were starring in. Oh, because Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton were there. And I still regret to this day not meeting Barbara Crampton at all.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. She was there?
She was.
Wow.
But
yeah, that definitely tops the guest list for all of the ones since then. Wow.
But yeah, I hung out with. I told you this before because it's pretty cool. Because, well, the night that Danielle Harris's movie played, she like introduced it, and then I was like sitting like in the front row of the elevated section of the theater, so not like the pit section that's like right in front of the screen, but before it like goes up. And I was sitting like right in the front row in the center there, and there was a couple of seats open on both sides of me, and I would assume it's her husband now, he's just her boyfriend or whatever at the time, sat down next to me. And so, I always tell people, yeah, I got to watch Danielle Harris's movie with Danielle Harris.
That's so awesome.
And I told you this before too, because I saw the Black Waters of Echo's Pond. I think it was either before or after Danielle's movie. And there's like a bar in this movie theater on one of the floors. And when this movie was over, like I went to the bar to get a drink to like wait for the next movie or whatever it was. And like Sean was there. and I was like, oh man, the movie was cool, and like had a beer with him and stuff, and like hung out and talked to him for like 20 minutes or something. And we were just talking about like just stuff, and it was really cool.
That's cool. Very cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you brought that up, that this was that Sean Clark's film was going to be, shown at this, and that was kind of interesting to me because I didn't know that he had done any work on a film. I just knew him from back then, and actually before then, he was doing the whole silver champagne novelties where he was selling Myers mask replicas and hockey mask replicas and all that stuff. And that's kind of what he was known for. And, making some posts on the forums on the Myers.net website and things like that. And then all of a sudden, he's got a movie and he becomes this big, like, horror guy that everybody knows about, with his conventions and everything. So this was kind of like right when that was starting to, well, I guess it technically had been going on for a little bit at this point, but I remember that, that around this time is when he was really becoming well known with that.
Well, and he's one of the guys too that we see around, I think at almost every one we've been to, not all the time, but running convention all-stars or whatever it is.
Yep.
And I remember the one year, which is hilarious because the one year he was there, he had his own booth set up, and he was like giving out autographs for free. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, dude, I gotta get one, man." And I kind of re-introduced myself, and I was like, "Hey, a couple years ago, Blackwater's Echoes Pond," and he was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, cool, man, thanks." So I got this picture of Sean Clark, and it's the one that's in front of the. I shouldn't say it's supposed to be like in front of the Strode House, I think is what it is.
Right down the block from the Strode House.
Yeah.
In the corner.
And he's like sitting on a ledge and he's got a pumpkin in his lap, and he like
famous ledge,
and he signed it. And then I had this like kind of fancy like silver frame, and I put it in that silver frame and I put it on my desk at work. And because it's autographed, so people are like, "Oh, cool, who's that?" I'd be like, "Oh, that's Shanon Clark." And they're like, "Who?" And then I would, and so I would sometimes like take it one or two different ways. I would be like, "Oh yeah, he's like really big in conventions and stuff, and he's made a couple of movies." I mean, just like really selling it and stuff. Or I would just flat out go like, "Oh, he's kind of like a horror guy." But it didn't matter which way you took it. As soon as you kind of got to the point where it was anything horror related, almost 90% of the people would go like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." And like either walk away or be like, "So anyway, the reason why I came over here."
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to him since then because that's one of the things I always wanted to tell him because he would get the biggest kick out of that. I should just write him in because him and Chris Nolan are doing that. Or him and Chris Nelson are doing their own like webcast thing that they're doing on YouTube, The Thing with Two Heads, which by the time this episode comes out, that might be over with, because that is one of the things I kind of was expecting, but I was watching an interview with him and Chris Nelson on some other web show thing, and they pretty much said that, yeah, as soon as we get back to work, this is probably not going to happen very often anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of their in-between gig.
But they answer like a bunch of like fan email and stuff on there. I should just kind of write into them and just tell them that story, because I think
would be cool.
Him and Nelson both would get a huge kick out of it.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. Yeah, that's a great show, by the way. It's probably my favorite.
It is. I haven't listened to the second Adrienne Barbeau episode yet, but
yeah, I still haven't hit that one yet. So that's next on my list. So with this movie, I went into this not knowing a thing about it. Like, I didn't know the storyline. I didn't know what to expect with this one. And, it's an independent film. So, it's relatively low budget. You've got a lot of actors who you don't know, you're not familiar with. However, I forgot all about that. Danielle Harris was in this.
Yep.
So, as soon as she popped up, I was like, oh, cool. And one of the things I wanted to throw out there real quick, and this is kind of a strange observation, but I want to get your opinion and see if you. Well, let me ask you, what movie, not in terms of the storyline, but like just in terms of the general vibe of like the character interactions and everything, what film did this remind you of? And I'll say it's the one that I won't give it away yet, but it's something post 2000s.
Ooh. So, well, it's weird because so it opens with this like very weird like Indiana Jones type of feel to it that only lasts whatever, like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. And then it breaks away from that opening, and then it kind of goes into, oh yeah, I'm not sure what the whole like locked in this like cabin feel was. I mean, it wasn't really like an Evil Dead type of feel to it, which I mean isn't post 2000 at all.
Well, you could go with the remake.
Yeah.
But I'll just give it away then. To me, for whatever reason, and I think it was just the actors and actresses they got to play in this film.
Oh, are you gonna say Friday the 13th?
Yes, the remake of the Friday the 13th remake. I totally was like, oh, this feels just like that. I don't know how to explain that. It's just how they interacted with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that you said that, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that because you had. I think it just must have been kind of that time, because this came out in, well, according to Wikipedia, this was made in 2019 or 2009. So yeah. That's when did Friday come out? That 2009, right?
It was either 07 or 09.
Well, Halloween was 07, so it must have been 09.
Okay, yeah, because then, yeah, right, then it must have been 09.
So, yeah, that just must have been kind of the feel. And I think part of that is the one, well, you had like kind of it sort of had that like 2000s-ish horror like trope feel to it with the characters. Sort of like what we had in the 80s with stuff, which kind of evolved over time. And then when you got to the 90s, it had a little bit of a different feel. So yeah, by the late 2000s, you had the one kind of like rich kid with the long hair, and then you had the ditzy blonde who wanted to get naked all the time, and then you had the bitchy girl. And then, and then the other thing too is like by the late 2000s, and you had to have like somebody had to be like promiscuous and like want to experiment and all of this stuff. So yeah, now that you say that, I can totally see that. Yeah,
no, totally caught that vibe. It just, all these teenagers or young adults, whatever you want to call them, 20-year-old something.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because I was thinking about it. So Danielle Harris is the same age as us. So she would have been 33 when this movie was made.
Yeah.
Which, weird. I mean, 2 years before that, she was playing Annie and Annie Brackett in Halloween, so.
Right. Yeah, so whatever. I guess they were more adults because, there was some, a couple of them were engaged and that kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, so basically the storyline, was, we have that whole thing like in the beginning, like you said, and they find this ancient whatever, and they bring, and what's his name? Robert Patrick was in the film.
Right.
Terminator 2.
Yep.
Totally forgot about that. So they did have a couple of, him and Danielle Harris, those were the two names I obviously recognized. But, so these teenagers, they get in this room, they go to hang out, stay at this house on an island with, I guess Robert Patrick is the uncle of one of the kids, and they find this ancient game that it's kind of interesting because it's sort of like Truth or Dare, but it's sort of supernatural where you're looking at the game and it gives you an image or a vision of something, and it really affects your emotions. Like, you'll see like your girlfriend making out with the other guy, and it just, am I explaining this right? Probably
right? Yep.
not.
It's a really kind of a, not weird, but like it's not your typical like horror movie. I mean, it's not a slasher movie at all. It's it's not really sci-fi-ish really at all. It's more supernatural, I guess, is part of it, but then it's kind of also like demonic at the same time.
A mixture between like Jumanji.
Yep.
And oh gosh, what would be I want to say The Ring.
Well, yeah, I actually had
be wrong there.
That's exactly what I had written down. It was like a horror version of Jumanji.
Yeah, basically that's what it is.
Yeah, it was really kind of I don't know. It's kind of like nice when you come into something that's fresh and a different take on stuff, but still scary, and not completely and utterly just a ridiculous premise. Like, for example, like, you remember that movie we covered a couple years ago, It Follows, where the ghost or whatever was going after the people, and to get rid of the ghost, you just had to go fuck somebody else.
Right.
And then you're like, wait, what? That's fucking stupid. That's dumb as hell. But like this one, I was like, I remember. Well, actually, I don't really remember because I think I was kind of like half drunk by the time I saw this one. But so I didn't really remember everything in it. I mean, plus it was 8 years ago, and we're getting to the point where memories getting shot and all that good shit. But anyway, yeah, I remember like thinking like, oh, it was like a different kind of a horror movie. It was pretty cool. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is, yeah, like you said, it's like a low budget movie for sure, but there are some recognizable names in it.
Yeah.
But, it's entertaining. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away the end, but it's, the only thing I will say is, like you had said, there was a couple of different, like, feels to it. Like, the big chunk of the movie, yeah, now that you say that, I can totally see that feels like sort of like similar to Friday the 13th that came out in 2009, which was probably a product of the time more than anything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like the very opening, yeah, it did have this kind of like weird, like Indiana Jones feel. And then, I mean, I don't want to give away the ending of the movie at all, but it kind of had this like other, like kind of a feel to it too.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it was definitely, like I think you said it perfectly. It's a product of its time. It's sort of got that 2010 era horror type vibe, and a bunch of teenagers getting together in a lake house or an island in this case, and and this supernatural game that sort of influences them, and we'll take it from there, but without giving anything away. But actually, I kind of went in with very, very low expectations. Wasn't like thinking, oh, this is going to be one of my favorite horror movies, and I can't wait to, because it's been around for a while, and I remember you talking about it, and I never went and looked it up or to watch or anything. So this was a good excuse for me to watch it. And overall, I have to say that for what it is, I enjoyed it. It was, and it was only like an hour and a half long. It wasn't a really long movie, which was good because it's well paced, especially towards the end. It really, things really pick up. All in all, I think I would go ahead and give this one a thumbs up.
Cool. Before we get to that, the one name that we didn't mention, which I don't even know if you picked up on this or not, but was Harry Manfredini did the soundtrack to this movie too.
That's right. I did see that in the credits. It wasn't as like blatant as, what was that one movie we did where it was, damn, this sounds like the Friday the 13th soundtrack.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the movie, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but that was kind of cool to see that as well.
But yeah, I would agree. This isn't, I mean, is it Oscar worthy? No, but
No, it's not.
You know,
Absolutely not.
do you want to go see some super cute Danielle Harris from, 2009? Yeah. But, I mean, all in all, this is Sean Clark's movie. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, I guess we can say that. But, he's a friend of the show, and yeah, I enjoyed this one too. So, I mean, this is definitely a beer and popcorn movie, but, it's a good, entertaining flicks. It's something you can throw on. And, yeah, like you said, it's pretty short running time. So, yeah, I give it a thumbs up too.
Cool.